Hello everyone, I'm Chris, and this is going to be what is essentially a 3TC boom, except maybe different forms of what you usually see it. This is what's most commonly used in 1v1 specifically arena, if you have a no to low eco bonus in Dark Age Civ. There's also various reasons you could be pulling this one off, but I'll get into that in a minute. As you can see on screen, there's a build order for this. So if you want to pause the screen now, or if you watch through the video, just come back and pause at the screen, take a screenshot or whatever, it could be quite useful for you. I also have a text version in the description, and you'll also see as we're going through kind of a build order just scrolling past as we go, just indicating where we are. So hopefully you can follow along. This is not your average, kind of basic build order. Like for example, one of the most basic ones is the 27+2 into a 3TC boom. That's great for a lot of players, like especially if you're not too much on the APM side, maybe it's just not something you're used to is pushing gear. You could really get away without doing it in that build order, and it's a very solid build order. But in 1v1s, you really want this build order to be up, just a little bit faster. You also want to get, the monastery up ASAP, you want to start thinking about getting relics. That's how it differs from TGs mainly, because in TGs you're not really as desperate to get a monastery and then start getting relics as flank. You want to just straight boom and defend, or you want to go aggressive. As a pocket in a TG, you could also pull this off if you're, specifically an archer civ, you think you could get a couple close by relics. It could be, kind of good like that. Maybe your cavalry isn't so good, you don't have such great pocket options. So, yeah, hopefully you can follow along and we'll go over this. I first saw this build order, this 26+2 specifically with a 9 on wood Dark Age, when Terror, John Slow, used it against me quite a bit ago. And it worked quite well for him, I'll just say that now. And I also recently saw it performed by Stefan, so I guess I just thought I would pick it up on it. So we're playing as Saracens, no meaningful eco bonus. Something I would say is that unlike Arabia, of course, we are talking about building a market, which Saracens do get a slightly cheaper market. So it's a little bit of a bonus, but it's nothing compared to the other civs we could also be trying this with. You could also do it via enemies, they would also have a very low eco bonus. Although they have various other options and they're just not a great arena civ right now. So this, Saracens, you go into HC Onager, HC BBC Monk. HC BBC Monk is actually a really strong combination, that's why I usually use with Byzantines these days. You could also do various other things, you could just really do quite a lot with the Saracens, especially go Arbalast. In a 1v1, Arbalast are actually quite fine to go. If you have siege rams, that's a big benefit to a lot of different civs. Unlike Vikings, Arbalast siege ram is not as strong with civs like Saracens, Byzantines, that kind of thing. Just because Vikings can do it really fast, that has the biggest impact. So you might want to keep that in mind. Various other civs, such as Slavs right now, are very strong because of their farming bonus. They could pull this off very, very fast, and they also have good monks to defend with in case they need to. So I would also keep that in mind that Halberdier Ram combos are really good. You could also go things like Champion Onager, but that's maybe not quite within the eco, the realms of the eco right now. I don't know about any upcoming Slav nerfs, but they're really strong right now, so maybe that might not be so valid. So yeah, consider these things: Halbram, Arbram, maybe switching Ram with Onagers, maybe going for monk combinations with things like HC. Gunpowder is actually really strong for minute 30, so if you are imp by minute 27, then you're, gonna have a good time with that one. You're gonna do quite a bit of damage. So without further ado, this has been quite a long intro, let's get into it. So we're gonna start with our usual, get a sheep under TC as soon as possible, make 4 villagers, and make our houses. Let's got a sheep there. I should also mention that I'm not actually using my usual mouse. Well, I am, but it's not working quite as well because with Vibly you have to, on the user patch right now, I have to disable use custom mouse for the mouse to show on video. And I thought it's better that I be a bit inaccurate with my clicks rather than giving a video without a mouse showing anything at all. Of course I would usually keep it on scores, but I'm going to keep this view here, the economic view. And that way you can just see where my villager distribution is. You would use these sheep to just scout the inside of your base, but my mouse clicks are not so on point today. So once we got our 6 on sheep, you should know this from your all basic build orders really, and you want to go for 4 on wood. Most FCs go this way. Yeah, just explore the black areas with your sheep. You have a lot of sheep if you get your sheep fast. Where do you know where they are? You know where one boar is? Something you can do, but you don't have to do, is control group your sheep gatherers. Every time they finish the sheep, move them on to the next one. If you have your 4 villagers go to wood, and then you go get your boar, and your 4th sheep runs out, you'll sometimes end up with 49 on wood, 49 food, and you can't make a villager. That is really caused by the issue of not control grouping your villagers, and they take a while to path around each other to get onto the next sheep. So we got our 4 on, what are they called? 4 on sheep, 4 on wood, sorry. And now we're going to get the boar. The next villager needs to build a house. We can't do it with the 14th population, because by the time it's built, then we'll just be housed. This was not some of the best pathing. And here I'm going to explain something that really differentiates a lot of players. A lot of players choose to do this differently, so I should probably explain it now for what you see. Basically, a way a lot of people do it is you send a villager to go and get the boar, it brings it back, then you've got the 7 taking the boar, because the 6 from sheep. Sorry, my voice is not doing so great today. And then you mill the berries with the next 4 villagers, and then you go and get the next boar when it's time. I've been following kind of Stark's approach in this one lately, where you go for 8 on boar as soon as possible. So you send a villager out to make the house and then come back. Or if it's really on the way towards the mill, they can make the house and then build the mill. Point being, you could really send a villager out in any direction and then send them back. So you could build the house kind of freely anywhere towards the building wall area. So I definitely prefer it this way. It makes a bit more sense in Arabia, but in Arena it's definitely very helpful. So the way it usually works is by population 19-ish, you want to have 4 on berries during that time, and the rest between 12 and 19 will be on food. As I said, 6 to sheep, 4 on wood, you're at pop 11, 10 villagers. And then until pop 19, you want everything going to food, and you just want to end up with 4 on berries at the end of the day. I used to do some Eddie builds, basically, where he would just go 5 on berries every game. It's not really necessary, you don't have to do that here, so we're not going to be doing that. So without further ado, let's get going. We should be about to finish this. There we go. You want to just get a good kill under a TC. So I have our boar, we have 3 deer. For the purposes of this, we're going to be pushing 3 deer. If we did have 4 deer on this map, I would again only take 3. Just because it's more, you know, it's just more fair to take 3, because you don't want to do a build order that really relies on taking 4 deer. There's some Malay build orders that are like that if you want to have some very fast mushes, but this is just easier, you know. Half the time you're going to get 3 deer, so might as well learn to play with 3 deer. If it's very close to TC or under it, I take it with 3 villagers usually. That boar is kind of low on food, so we want to send the next villager to, I misclicked the TC there, the next villager to get it. In Arabia you would do something like when it's 160 food, but if you're pushing deer right away, then you could really get away with anything, because you have the extra time really. Now we want to start building our next houses. My mouse being a bit off is kind of affecting me here. That boar expired. Just make sure we're taking food and enough villagers. So when this villager's done building the house, I'm going to send her to... Usually around 17 pop I like to build that house, but sometimes it could be 18 you send a villager. It depends where you want to build it. So now we're going to want, at 19 population, we want to start building a second lumber camp. This is where this builder sort of leans towards the 9 villagers on wood and dark age. It's a very good build, so... Can she make it? Yeah, definitely. I'm trying not to over micromanage. I'm trying not to make sure that things like, you know, my villagers are on the right berries for maximum efficiency, that kind of thing. Because right now with my mouse settings it's a little bit difficult. Also using hotkeys on this keyboard is kind of bad for me. I tend not to use this keyboard, but I got it out specifically just so I can do these videos. Because it is very quiet. So now we have 24 pop and we've got our 9 on wood. As you can see, 2 farmers, 8 hunters. We want to add some farmers soon. Really we want to up at about 5. 5 is a good number. We go for our 2 on gold at the end of the FC. Thinking about where we're going to place our TCs, I want to place one on this gold, so this side probably a bit safer for that. If I have my gold mine there, then that's... it bugs me a little bit not being able to see the minimap actually. But if we have our gold mine there, then when, you know, this gets a bit crowded from the TC, then it'll be safe to go on the other side and collect fine, so... It doesn't really matter that this is kind of inefficient for a lot of villagers. You don't have to group these villagers and then send them to the sheep anymore. She shouldn't be there. So you notice when I move my scout, I use patrol. My patrol hotkey is Q. My attack move is also tab, but that's a story for another day. I just use Q and left click. I also periodically just double check that my scout is on defensive stance. And when that's the case, then you know whenever you run near an enemy scout, your scout's going to automatically attack back. Here's what does get a little bit sketchy. We want to add probably an additional villager to gold. You could add 2. I like to add 1 and then 1 to wood in the feudal age, but that's personally me. You can really delay your second additional TC, your third TC, just a little bit. I'm going to build these at the back because I really should have built my market here and maybe my blacksmith here as part of the wall, but I don't really care. This is VSNAI right now, so... Send 1 to wood and send 1 to gold. We're going to have 10 on wood, which if you've done the basic 27+2 into a 3TC boom, then you will know 10 on wood is what you have by the end of feudal age. Except we had the 1 extra in dark age, so it's definitely a nice build. So our villagers are holding what we need. There we go. You know the basics, you build the market with 2 villagers and the blacksmith with 1. So now we're upping, we want to get these eco upgrades as soon as we can. We just want the first 2 in feudal age. And then when we're in castle age, we want to get the lumber camp upgrade, the bow saw. But what we don't really want to get is the farm upgrade in castle age, heavy plow. It does definitely slow you down too much. Build a couple houses there, why not? But you want to make sure you build houses on the way up, and especially like I often do, don't forget to keep making houses when you're in castle age. one villager consistently building houses is definitely good enough to keep up with villager production. 1, 2, 3 relics. You just scout around. You want to scout to see if your enemy's going for a forward, although you can usually tell by their uptimes what they're kind of up to. First thing we build is a monastery. I want to TC this stone, and I want to TC this gold. Gonna send 2 villagers forward for that one. I've got the 3. That's fine. So now we want to build our TC. And make sure we get Bosaw. Bosaw is like the most important thing we could be getting right now. Once we get 200 gold, then I'm okay to use those villagers to build wherever I want. Let's grab this relic first. So now we just want to add farms to all the villagers we can. When you're getting relics, you want to get ones that are within reasonable reach. We're up faster. They're not doing 28+2 or anything, so we just get this one a little bit further. And this one's also in a okay distance. It's not terrific, but so now the berries are finished. When you're doing foreign berries, they definitely do finish just that little bit later than you would usually like. This is barbarian, but it's all moderate, so it's not anything special by any means. I do have to thank the Max for making this AI though. So now we got 1 relic. So we're gonna have to reseed those farms whenever we can. Which is, you know, not a very difficult task. It's not all too easy though to make sure you're definitely booming correctly. Booming is really just, you get a feel for it. Like over time you just get to the point where you know whenever you're making villagers, you just want to, whenever you can afford one, build a farm. I also much value, would like to emphasize, you really want to value reseeding farms over making new farms when you can afford to, if they start expiring at the start of Castle Age. The reason for this is because, you know, you're sending them to stone, for example. So you, those villagers are working, but the ones who the farms expire for, they're no longer working, so you want to get them back to it. I need to build a house here, but for some reason it's I'm just a little bit short on that one. Just keep making sure you're adding vills. I was a little bit late with this house. We might get a house for a second because we're making the monks, but that's perfectly fine. So at minute 20, you want around 50 villagers. We have that. It's definitely good. He's going there. He's going there. So we're getting wheelbarrow quite early. Whenever you can get wheelbarrow is always good. I'd also make sure you don't send villagers on their own. Otherwise things like that can happen. Don't quite know what she was doing. So our main goal right here is approximately 35 farmers, so we're going for a feud unit. I'm going to go for HC BBC in this situation. We are VS Celts. If we micro our BBC, we're up faster, you know, it's an AI, so we don't really have to pay too much attention to it. But if as a player, those are the kind of things you'd be thinking. They are in Castle Age, so they could snipe relics from under our nose. I'll make one villager before getting that. When you get wheelbarrow, it's generally a good idea to get handcart soon after. Use my idle military hockey. We can just about afford it. I'll idle for the second it takes to get it. I should also mention here, when you're going ham on the stone like this, be careful, you don't really want to do it. Ideally, you'd use this research wheelbarrow and handcart. You want 5 villagers approximately on stone. And that'll get you a castle by the time you're really getting into Castle Age, you know, for maybe a unique tech, maybe conscription, which you need. Conscription, of course, being very important. Around the 23-minute mark, you could build a second building. For example, we're going to build a university. It depends really on what you're looking for. We're at 36 farmers, one more than I said. It's perfectly fine. We don't have many gold miners, but we do have a lot of relics. I would move some of these to maybe focus on getting some relics. Oh, did they steal a relic from there? No, they didn't. Never mind. I'm also not playing on my usual keyboard, as I might have said, because it's quieter. If it's 22 minutes, build this with 1 villager. If it's 23 minutes, build it with 2 or 3. This village is about done, so we'll just click up now. So now we've clicked up, there's very many things we could do. We have a decent bit of room here. So now we're going to start building our buildings, and we're going to go build them inside. I'm going to add, because we have a bunch of relics, we have a bunch of gold. So there's quite a lot we could do at this point. That is a bit much on stone for me. I would like to transfer some over there. I would also like to get a sanctity for these monks. If you have 5 monks, it can really help you in fights. Especially if they start making things like onagers when you're doing HC BBC. If you're VS Celts, it's actually semi-common. You'll see rams a bit more often. But yeah, they could definitely be a really big hand too. I heard... Oh. Nice. So when you click up, or soon after, you get heavy plow. Also get yourself the gold mining upgrade. Start working your way towards upgrades you need. We need archer armor for the hand cannoneers. Don't forget, you gotta keep making villagers, also keep making houses. I'm a little bit curious to see what's down there, but I also need to, in the meantime... Yeah, let's get time watch. Since we're not using the minimap anyway, we might as well rely on our own eyes. So generally I build these safe, I wouldn't build them too aggressively. So now we're going to get sanctity for our monks. 3 ranges, kind of enough. 4 is better, to be honest. You kind of get away with 4. We also do want to spam a bit of houses here, just because. So you see how much resources we're floating. We could really start forward to get anything. We wanted Onager right now, we could get Onager. I'm a little bit impartial to getting Onager right now. I'm not, I don't think it's going to be the most useful upgrade I could get. As Saracens, we could also do various things, like we wanted to buy a castle right now, we could just buy 100 stone and drop off these guys and we're pretty much there. If we want to defend this area up here, maybe say take this gold, then we can. You gotta remember that gunpowder chemistry does take a long time to research. As I said, this is one of the strategies. This is something you could do. Depending on the civ your VS, really, yeah, there's just so much open ends here. And I wouldn't really suggest doing this with, you know, any civ that can. Byzantines, yeah, definitely. You could do so much as Byzantines, they're almost unbreakable in Arena these days. One of my favourite civs. But HC, BBC, a nice simple, very fast thing to 3TC boom 2 and get early. And then you can transition into whatever you want. Of course, as Saracens, you're going to die if you go Mamluks. You could also go Arabs. Really civ dependent, match dependent. And you're only going to be pulling this off if you have a safe map, so you could get away with these layer game options anyway. So there's not all too much left to the order itself. We're currently dealing with a bit of uncivilized chaos going on here. We have far too much going on there. I'm also going to take a couple of farms here and there. I should also mention how important it is to really get the lumber camp upgrade. So we start getting BBC. Maybe you want to add Mamluks in the future, so maybe we want to mill that and make a quick defensive castle. Keep making our villagers. I lost my train of thought when I saw the... We're going to get loom in case we want to send out outside villagers. We already have a few, but that's just because we're BSNAI not caring. I suppose we could get redemption if we wanted, but we're going to get type for gold real soon. So, it's something we have to consider. Oops. What? Did he just... I am a little bit confused with that one, at seeing a random monk tank a BBC hit. But we're almost at the stage where full boom. Do you look at our villager counts are looking very healthy? The one thing we are lacking, of course, is gold miners. And that's just because we have all the relics we need. A nice counter there is definitely those scorpions. We can start getting redemption now. Start getting that tech there. Conscription. We'd also get the tech that lets... monks are really... well, scorpions are very difficult to micro against. This is actually a good move from a Celt player. I'm actually quite happy with the choice by the bot here. It's not often you'll see a robot impress me, but there we go. That's not great. We gotta reseed our farms. We got lots of farms to reseed. Genuinely surprised the AI is picking up this much of a fight. As far as I remember about this bot is that if you boom, you tend to win, just because it doesn't rely on booming. So it doesn't do very well at it. Because, you know, often uses extra resources. Oh shit. Oh shit. And rip those. So let's start getting that. We need that tech. We're overflowing on wood, of course. Oops. So we're just gonna build ourselves some mills. We could use a lot of trash units here, for example. So you can see the army mass. Are we going to get that scorpion? Yeah, we are. This bot likes a mass army. So now we want to start transitioning. Maybe we want to... I believe I did definitely select my castle there. We are Saracens, so we could definitely afford to start selling that. I should have another gold around here somewhere. But I'm not seeing it. I guess that technically is my next gold. And there goes that gold, so we start mining others. But yeah, that's just an ending where I just fight an AI for no real reason. So hopefully you learned something. I wasn't here to really teach the late game, I was here to just teach more of the boom. When you get your castle up, you can start getting your unique takes. If you're Goths, this is actually more effective as Goths than it is for other strategies. You could also castle defense boom. But this, you know, it depends if you expect to be pushed or not. There's various different factors. If you have a very safe map, you might as well pull this one off anyway. Not to talk about this AI too much, but it does a half decent job, can't deny that. But I wouldn't normally suggest just going into ACBBC like this. Doesn't work all too well. Should have made some more monks, wasn't really bothering. Just trying to concentrate on making a half decent video here. So hopefully you learned something. I would like to cover more strategies. I would also like to cover a more basic outlook of strategies. I would like to cover the more basic booms, the more basic aggressions, the more, you know, general builds. I also made a spreadsheet a long time ago of different arena builds, and I would also like to make some videos on each individual build. Help the beginners follow along, but also I would like to make these kind of builds to sort of more cement the meta and the average builds you'll find in top level arena 1v1, you know, casual RM 1v1 rated games. So if we get that out there, then we're probably going to have some better players, and I'm very happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Also don't forget to check the description. I'll post whatever information I can there on top of this one. I also appreciate any comments and anything anyone has to say about working on this guide. I would have liked it to be a bit shorter, but I just wanted to transition the whole way. Just sort of give the general, you know, small tidbits of information you get as you go. And there's lots of different things like that that you can learn just over time, over experience. Picking different things off different people. Sorry if I rambled a bit too much, but, you know, hopefully in the end, you'll learn something. That is all from me. Thanks for watching.